Hey guys, this is DFD, aka Dark Pros and Devs, back with another Kamihime project video. Now, this one is going to be a union event, so hopefully you have indeed joined very powerful unions. If you didn't, hopefully you can leave the current union you're in and hop into another one. But once this event starts, you will not be able to leave whatever union you're in, so you're basically stuck at that point. So you have to do it before the maintenance, and then you'll be able to be scouted and jump into another union. So that's a bit of a reason why I'm trying to get this video out a little bit earlier than the event starts, just to let you know. But ironically too, this event started the same time last year for DMM, and we happen to get that. It's kind of rare that happens. But this is a light-based union event, so darkness is going to have the advantage. However, unlike the guild competition, there's no special mechanic that will reduce your damage if you're not using dark. So use whoever you feel is best for this situation, especially considering some of the stuff that happens later on. However, like guild competition, there are some things that that will not work or become harder to do against this fight, so you have to pay attention. But anyways, this is the chance to get the 30% assault and the 30% defender weapons for light. For that reason, I am not going to go over what the weapons do. I'm just going to go over their types, ignoring the SR weapons completely because you probably won't need them. Also, keep in mind that since this is a union event, there are different types of rankings, so keep that as a probably as a side project, but it's not really priority. If your union is strong enough, then by all means go for it. But also I gotta add this too. Last video I did about the guild competition, I did make a few mistakes when I was recording it, so if there's anything that does end up getting corrected, it is absolutely going to be in the comments below the video. So that said, double check those anyway, just in case. Sometimes when I look at this, Google Translate isn't exactly the best, so I may make a few mistakes on it. However, Google Translate is still enough to get the basic understanding of things, so it's what I end up using. I don't have any other things that can translate, basically, so it's what I'm going off of. But also keep in mind, this is one of the few times you can get easier access to special soul points, so if you're still needing to unlock souls like Shingen or even Yorimitsu, because she needs them too, then you can start building up some special soul points for that. But anyways, there's two different fights for this. Now the first one is against Thrones, which is what you use to get the divine rings for the union buffs. The other one is the Seraph itself, and that's where you get most of your prizes from, including the ranking rewards as well. Now, there's a total list of effects, and I don't remember all the maximum values, but I do know that when it comes to the attack power, the burst damage, and the HP, those are all 150% when you max them out. Recovery is also the same as well, it's 150% more when you max it out, so the upper limit is increased that much. The attack is pretty good. The HP is also pretty good. You may or may not need recovery, it depends on how strong your teams are. Burst damage, it can be good, but if your grids is pretty powerful, burst damage is a little bit redundant, because if you're hitting the damage soft caps for burst damage, you're not going that much further with any more of it, so it's more dependent on how strong you are on that one. I do remember that the triple attack, I believe, was increased to 30%, and the double attack was increased to 50%. So, and I don't remember that exactly. I did have it in a few past videos, though. But those are very, very potent increases, so both of those is actually quite worthwhile. So you may want to consider those. But keep in mind, those are values if you max them out. You can split up buffs and debuffs if you want. There is literally, as far as I can tell, no point to having debuff resistance, because the boss will not debuff. As far as it goes with the debuff chance, you can have that, but there's a little bit of a counter mechanic in this, so it might be redundant as well to have that. So keep that in mind. Also, you will need BP to enter the Seraph fight, so make sure you have a lot of energy seeds and leaves, or you might have some trouble getting some stuff accomplished. But as far as it goes with the Thrones fights, you can jump into other people's as well if you feel like using your own BP for that, but you can start them with AP. They're much easier than the Seraph fights, so you can probably do them on your own, but if you are trying to rack up a lot of rings quite easily, just get a whole bunch of Union members to jump into the same one and everybody just attack at once. If it doesn't outright get killed, because there are some rather strong players. Now, going into the fights themselves, there is two specific things you need to pay attention to with the throne fights. And that is basically that it will try to buff its damage output quite a bit. But also, it's got a weird mechanic where if its HP is high, like above half, and there is no full orbs, you will see it do nothing, which is basically free turns. So it is meant to pretty much just like do delay nukes for the most part. Now when it gets at below half HP, that's when it's going to start attacking you outside of its full orb count. So keep in mind that its burst is going to be pretty much the main bulk of the fight. However, Standard has 700,000 HP and Expert has 2.5 million HP just about, so that's extremely low at this stage of the game if you've been playing for quite a while, so that's easily blown through. In fact, there's quite a few players, myself included, that can just normal attack that away with their best team. So keep that in mind. As far as it goes with the fight with the Seraph, there's the same special mechanics where it's based on whether she has more than half or less than half, but they do different things this time around. And I also have to go down here to explain this thing. But first off, both fights, you cannot increase the orb counts, like the maximum charge turns. So stuff like Black Propaganda is 100% useless. So don't even try that. You can indeed remove orbs with attacks that do that. So you can delay the charges, but you can't increase the maximum charge. Also, when you try to land Paralysis, Frenzy, Sleep, Dizzy, Confusion, or Blind, each time it lands, the boss gains a little bit more resistance towards that. Eventually, it's going to become way too hard to try and do that. And the boss already has quite high resistance to begin with, from what it said. So it said that even with advantage, it's quite tricky to win. So if you're relying on anything like the paralysis spam tactic or something like that, it's going to run dry very, very quickly. So be wary of that one. Also, there is some other mechanics too, which is like there's a stronger version of charm and blind on some characters, and then there's another mechanic too. I think it was from Perkunas and a few other Kamihime, but those will probably work. Also, if you fail a debuff, it does not increase its resistance towards it, so there you go. However, feel free to spam all the attack down, defense down, elemental resistances, all that. Feel free to spam those all you want. It's more towards the stuff that will delay its turns. But Either delay its turns or delay its full orb nukes. But going into the actual fight itself, now I have to go over the triggers first before going into the actual orb burst moves because those are tied into each other. But when her HP is above half, she will give a damage cut to herself that does stack. Each stack lasts 4 turns, and when she does a normal mode burst, it will deal damage to everyone and remove all her damage cuts, but it'll also give herself increased damage output for the next 2 turns. But it's also the same thing if she's enraging, and it'll probably just deal more damage. That's the main gimmick with the first half of the fight. She will try to reduce the damage she takes quite a bit. Now, the second half, she'll start going really, really on the offensive, because the second half, once her HP is below half, she will randomly nuke 3 times. And characters that have like the intercept function, like Shamas or Barith, won't work with them. So they won't counterattack. But also keep in mind that whenever she does this, her charge count goes up by an additional orb, so it'll start going up by 2. She'll start doing her AoE bursts a lot more frequently. So you have to pay very close attention to that. It's basically defensive on the first half of the fight and quite offensive on the second half. So keep that in mind throughout the entire fight. Now, the HP amounts that it has, it starts off with 375,000 on Expert. It has double that at the start on Ultimate, but each successive level it gains more HP. So for Expert, starts off with 375,000 and gains another 75,000 for each level it has. This includes level 1. So level 1 is starting off with 450,000. Now, Ultimate, it starts off with 750,000 and gains 225,000 for every level. So it will start off with 975,000. So it's almost 1 million and almost 500,000, respectively. And it will start growing pretty fast, too, as you start killing it more and more. And also keep in mind that it's going to get stronger and stronger each time it grows in power. So it's going to start hurting quite a bit. And then it also said something about damage attenuation at some point as well on here. Now, what that usually means is hitting soft caps and whatnot, so quite frankly, I don't think the fight itself will hit soft caps. You probably will, though. You probably will have to worry about soft caps if you're strong enough. So keep that in mind. Now, going to the rewards, it's the same basic stuff, more or less. You just get the SSR stuff. You get special soul points. They start giving Adoan orbs, and quite a bit of it, too. You get just a whole bunch of the basic stuff you need to upgrade. There's also accessory EXP spears in here now. At least according to this list. I don't know if we'll get them or if we'll just get the upgrade materials, which is like phantom accessories. Also, keep in mind that there are some Dragonic Eye Shards in here as well, so those are worthwhile getting. And you will get a ton of Grails for skill level increasing, so if you need skill EXP, this is probably a good time to get it, because you'll get a lot of Grails for that, even from the ranking lists as well. Now, speaking of the weapons, again, not really going to go over what they do because it's basically Assault and Defender, 30% for the SSR. One's going to be 30% Assault, one's going to be 30% Defender. Get used to this because we'll have the same mechanic for pretty much the rest of the year, I do believe. But, the bow is the Assault weapon and the gun is the Defender weapon. So, light bow grid is getting a little bit of a boost. If anybody ever makes a light gun grid, I don't see why, because it's not that great. You just got a little bit more HP if you want to go after it. But anyways, The hammer might be a little bit worth it if you already have some hammers and need to make a decent hammer grid for light, but other than that, you can probably ignore it because there should be a grindable one from the raid battles. So there's that. And I wouldn't worry too much about arcane, so. But anyways, that's all for this. More of this will come soon. Since I'm in a different type of union setup myself, I doubt I'll get a chance to actually do some high level fights on my own, but if I do, you'll see a video of that. Either way, you'll probably see a video of the union event because I'll always do ones of new stuff. Now, if it repeats, then I'll cross that bridge when it happens. I do know the demon versions will repeat eventually. The Seraph ones is the ones I don't know if they'll repeat. But again, this fight, it can probably drag out at later points because of the fact that you will eventually have to deal with that damage cut. But anyways, that's all for this. More of this will come soon, and a reminder to get out of your union if you feel like you cannot do the basic list. That is getting enough kills and enough participation points. Like, get out of your union as soon as possible before the maintenance, because if you try to do it after the maintenance, it won't work because you will not be allowed to. So if you feel like you need to change unions, now's the time to do it. My suggestion is to go do it immediately after watching this video. But anyways, that's all for now, guys. More of this will come soon, and take care.